Behind the Bottle, the untold story of Barbara Eden. What if I told you that America's most beloved genie carried secrets darker than any magic lamp could contain? Behind those sparkling blue eyes and that famous ponytail was a woman who would face losses so devastating they would have broken anyone else. This is the story Hollywood tried to keep hidden. The real Barbara Eden. Act 1. The Girl Who Dreamed. Picture this. It's August 1931, and a baby girl is born into a world still reeling from the Great Depression. Her name? Barbara Eden. But back then, nobody could have imagined this child would one day become one of the most recognizable faces in American pop culture. Barbara didn't just stumble into stardom, she clawed her way there. Growing up in a musical family, she understood early on that talent alone wasn't enough. You needed grit. You needed hunger. And Barbara? She had both in spades. By 1955, she was making sketch appearances on The Johnny Carson Show. But here's what they don't tell you. She was grinding. Not the glamorous Hollywood kind of work, but the soul-crushing, ego-bruising kind. Supporting roles, guest appearances, blink and you'd miss her. Then came the late 1950s, and everything started shifting. Barbara was working with Lucille Ball, Andy Griffith, the titans of vintage television. In 1959, she starred in A Private's Affair. A year later, she was standing alongside Elvis Presley himself in Flaming Star. But Hollywood has a way of making even success feel hollow. Act 2. When studios played matchmaker. Now here's where it gets interesting. It's 1957. Barbara's starring in the television version of How to Marry a Millionaire. She's dating someone, a regular guy, not an actor. And 20th Century Fox? They're furious. The studio wanted Barbara linked to a celebrity. Good for ratings, good for publicity. So they did what old Hollywood did best. They manufactured romance. They set her up on a blind date with Michael Ansara, the heartthrob from Broken Arrow. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. It worked. Not for the cameras, not for the publicity shots. It actually worked. Barbara and Michael fell for each other, hard and fast. Within a year, they were married. Sounds like a fairy tale, doesn't it? Hold that thought. 6 years went by. 6 long years of trying, hoping, praying for a child. And nothing. Month after month, disappointment after disappointment. Can you imagine? You're a rising star. Your career is finally taking off. But the one thing you want most in the world keeps slipping through your fingers. By the early 1960s, Barbara was exhausted, emotionally, physically, spiritually drained. Her career felt stuck in neutral. Her personal life felt incomplete. Then fate, or maybe just Hollywood timing, stepped in. Act 3. The Bottle That Changed Everything. 1964. Barbara lands a supporting role in a film called The Brass Bottle. The plot? A guy finds an old brass bottle, releases a genie, chaos ensues. Critics absolutely savaged it. One called it about as funny as your own funeral. But producer Sidney Sheldon? He saw something different. See, ABC had this massive hit called Bewitched. Suburban fantasy, magical hijinks, the whole package. And NBC was desperate for an answer. Sheldon watched The Brass Bottle and thought, what if we flip the script? What if the genie is a gorgeous woman and the man is the one trying to stay grounded? There was just one problem. Elizabeth Montgomery on Bewitched was blonde. Sheldon was absolutely determined his genie would be a brunette. Different show, different look. So Barbara Eden, with her signature golden locks, she was out before she even started. Audition after audition, brunette after brunette. Nobody got it. Nobody understood what Sheldon was looking for. Finally, probably out of sheer desperation, he called Barbara. She was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Blonde hair and all. And here's the beautiful coincidence that still gives me chills. The same day Sheldon told Barbara she got the role, the exact same day, she found out she was pregnant. After 6 years of trying, 6 years of heartbreak, it finally happened. Her son Matthew was born in 1965, and Barbara Eden's life was about to explode in ways she could never have imagined. Act 4. The Genie in the Bottle. Sheldon moved at lightning speed. They filmed 13 episodes before Barbara was even showing. And when she was? Hollywood magic, strategic draping, standing behind counters, camera angles that would make a cinematographer weep with joy. I Dream of Jeannie premiered right before television went full color. NBC wanted black and white, cheaper, safer. They thought the show wouldn't last a season. They were spectacularly wrong. 5 seasons, 139 episodes. Comics, board games, an animated series. Barbara Eden became the darling of 1960s television. Her genie costume, that iconic pink outfit with the high-waisted pants and bare midriff, became instantly recognizable across America. But fame always comes with a price. Early on, Barbara's costume would occasionally slip, revealing, gasp, her belly button. Nobody cared until some reporter decided to write about it. Then suddenly, everyone cared. Articles poured in, moral outrage, network executives in a panic. NBC made an ironclad rule: no belly button, ever, on national television. In 1965, that's what we were worried about. Behind the scenes, things were messier. Larry Hagman, who played astronaut Tony Nelson, was often moody and dissatisfied with the scripts. Legend has it he once got so frustrated, he threw a script down and urinated on it. True story. But the real tension was in the premise itself. For 4 seasons, the show walked a tightrope. Jeannie desperately in love with Tony. Tony desperately trying to maintain boundaries. They lived together, but weren't together. That tension? That was the magic. Then came season 5, and NBC made a catastrophic decision. Act 5, when dreams collapse. They got married. Tony and Jeannie, married. Barbara's stomach dropped when she heard. She knew her character inside and out, and this went against everything that made the show work. Take away the tension, the longing, the will they won't they. And what's left? Not much, apparently. The show's ratings plummeted. NBC cancelled I Dream of Jeannie after season 5. But that wasn't the worst thing happening in Barbara's life. Not even close. While Barbara's star was rising, Michael and Sarah's career was fading. He was working less and less. The tension in their marriage was building, building, building. And then, tragedy struck in the cruelest way imaginable. Around the time Jeannie was cancelled, Barbara got pregnant again. She carried that baby for 8 months. 8 months of hope, of planning, of dreaming about expanding their family. The baby was stillborn. Try to imagine that moment. Your show's being cancelled. Your marriage is crumbling. And now this, the most profound loss a parent can experience. Barbara did what she'd always done when life got unbearable. She worked. 3 television movies in 1 year. Constant motion, constant distraction. Anything to avoid sitting still with her grief. But you can't outrun depression. It catches up eventually. In 1974, after years of struggling, professionally, personally, emotionally, Barbara and Michael divorced. Acid 6, the dark years. What came next was perhaps the darkest chapter of Barbara Eden's life. And honestly, she doesn't talk about it much. Can you blame her? She was depressed, lost, lonely in ways that success and fame could never fill. So when she met Charles Donald Chuck Fagott, high-spirited, charming, different from anyone she'd known, she dove in headfirst. Looking back, Barbara has said she was too lonely to make good decisions. And Fagott? He seemed to change the moment they got serious. Late nights partying, a lifestyle Barbara had never enjoyed or wanted. The marriage deteriorated faster than her first one. Then he got physical. Barbara finally woke up and left. Divorced him in 1982 after 5 brutal years. She'd survived tragedy before, but this was different. This was choosing herself when staying might have been easier. Act 7, The Return. But here's what I love about Barbara Eden. She's a survivor, always has been. Through her second marriage and its painful ending, she kept working. Harper Valley PTA, both the movie and TV series in 1981. Steady appearances, steady income, steady presence in American living rooms. The 1980s were kind to her old co-star Larry Hagman, who became a supervillain on Dallas. J.R. Ewing, one of television's greatest characters. And Larry, he never forgot Barbara. In 1990, he brought her onto Dallas for 5 episodes as one of Ewing's nemesis. They got to work together again, playing off each other with that old chemistry. It must have felt like coming home. That same year, Barbara married John Eichholtz, a real estate executive. Her third marriage. And this time it would last. She needed that stability. Because the nightmare she'd been dreading, the one every parent fears, was already unfolding. Act 8, The Call. Every parent fears. Matthew, Barbara's son, wasn't coping. After the divorce from Ansara, he'd chosen to live with his father. But after Barbara's divorce from Faget, Matthew came back to live with her. She must have hoped they could heal each other. Mother and son, both wounded, finding their way back. But Matthew was already too far gone. Barbara noticed things, small things at first. Matthew dropped out of the University of California at Santa Barbara. He claimed he was studying at Valley College instead. He was sleeping constantly, had no energy, seemed distant. One day, he forgot a textbook. Barbara drove to Valley College to return it. That's when she discovered, through the registrar's office, that Matthew wasn't enrolled there. He'd been lying for months. When she confronted him, he stormed out, disappeared, lived on the streets for months before a friend took him in. Slowly, painfully, Barbara and Michael began piecing it together. Their son was a drug addict, and he'd been using since he was 10 years old, right after their divorce. Think about that. While Barbara was building her career, attending Hollywood parties, smiling for cameras, her 10-year-old son was already using drugs. The guilt alone would destroy most people. Barbara and Michael threw themselves into helping Matthew. Meetings, doctor's appointments, counseling sessions. Barbara was told that tough love was the best approach. So when Matthew started stealing from them to buy drugs, she did something that must have torn her apart. She kicked him out. For 14 years, Matthew went in and out of rehab, up and down, clean for months, then relapsing. Brief moments of hope followed by crushing disappointment. In the early 2000s, he'd gotten clean. He was engaged to be married. Barbara must have felt, finally, that her son had found his way. Act 9, The End of Dreams, late June 2001. A gas station near Los Angeles. Matthew's body was found in his parked truck. Barbara had spent years waiting for that call. When it came, she was heartbroken, but not surprised. Her son had died from an overdose. The ending she'd feared since she first learned of his addiction 14 years earlier. The guilt, the anger, the endless questions of what if. Barbara has spoken openly about her grief over the years, hoping that sharing her story might help other families facing similar nightmares. Because here's the truth about Barbara Eden that most people don't understand. She didn't just play a magical genie who could fix any problem with a nod and a blink. She lived through problems that can't be fixed with magic, the kind that require extraordinary strength, resilience, and courage. Epilogue. The last genie standing. Today, Barbara Eden is 94 years old. She still attends conventions. She still reprises her role as genie. She's never been afraid to look back, never tried to erase or hide from her past. Larry Hagman died in 2012 from throat cancer. Bill Daly, who played Tony's best friend Roger, passed in 2018. Barbara is the last survivor of I Dream of Jeannie. She's the last one who remembers what it was like on that set in the 1960s when television was changing, when America was changing, when a woman in a pink genie costume could become a symbol of an entire era. But more than that, she's a testament to human resilience. She lost a baby. She survived abuse. She watched her son die from addiction. Any one of those tragedies could have ended her. All of them together? It seems impossible that anyone could survive that much pain. And yet, here she is, still smiling, still showing up, still generous with her time and her story. Barbara Eden didn't just play a character who granted wishes. She became a symbol of something deeper, the strength it takes to keep going when your dreams turn into nightmares, when your fairy tale becomes tragedy, when the magic runs out and all you have left is yourself. That's not the story of a genie. That's the story of a warrior. And Barbara Eden? She's been fighting her whole life. The bottle may have been fiction, but the woman inside it, she was always real. And she's still here, reminding us that survival itself is the greatest magic of all. If this story moved you, remember to honor not just the characters we love on screen, but the real people who brought them to life, who carried their own burdens behind those smiles, who showed us what true strength looks like. Barbara Eden is more than an icon of vintage television. She's a reminder that behind every dream, there's a dreamer who had to fight to keep believing.